Well, aloha kakahiaka, everybody. It is April 1st, and that's not a joke. I'm Peter Kay, and you are on the Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show. Welcome, everyone. This is the pregame show. If you're listening to this on a recorded basis, you can probably scroll through about 5 minutes to miss all the fun. But then again, you'd miss all the fun. So that's why you'd maybe not want to do that. And we got 11 folks who have jumped on already, which is awesome. So let's do let's do a mic check, audio check, hello check, coffee check, shirt check. Why don't we go counterclockwise this time? Let's go with Scott and then go with Heidi. By the way, folks, in case you're wondering where Dylan is out he's unavailable. At a predisclosed secret location, so I can't tell you where he's at, but he won't be with us this week. Of course, he'll be with us at the next show in 2 weeks. So, Dylan, we wish you the best, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Scott, what's going on, buddy? Looks nice and clear back there. How are things going?
Yeah, it's actually a little bit cloudy today, but things are going great. I mean, we got the Final Four coming up this weekend, and Duke, Carolina. Since I grew up in North Carolina on Tobacco Road, I'm looking forward to seeing that Duke, Carolina game and watch them both beat each other up, and then hopefully Villanova wins so neither of them can win the national championship. That'd be perfect for me, and my parents will be happy back in North Carolina since Wake Forest isn't in the tournament this year. So it's a basketball weekend for me.
All right, man. Basketball weekend. That is a foreign word. That is a foreign world to me. All sports, with the exception of surfing, but I don't want surfing. I just go surfing. But good to see you again, Scott. Heidi, how's it going over there? What's going on, and what's the coffee of the day today?
Well, it's just a gorgeous morning here on Maui. Last night we had this really light rain and it was cool. I mean, cool meaning 70 degrees. Now it's 73 and sunny, and it's just gorgeous. I'm done drinking coffee at the moment, but I just wanted to share because I had some non-Maui coffee for the first time in a while, and it just reminded me why I love Maui coffee. And I think it's just because it's really smooth. It seems to be just easier to drink, easier. It doesn't make me super jittery, but it's still very flavorful, and I love it.
It's that Maui vibe, Heidi.
Mm.
That's what it is. It's that Maui vibe. We have a bunch of our friends are coming in. I pointed out earlier, Ray, welcome back, Ray. Ray is from Washington State, hailing us from there. Ray, welcome back. Good to see you again, buddy. And of course, Auntie Joyce. Oh, by the way, gang, Auntie Joyce celebrated her birthday. I should have put the slide on there. Auntie Joyce celebrated her birthday the other day. I posted a picture of her with Dylan celebrating, and that's on the Facebook page. You guys can kind of scroll that and check that out. Happy birthday to you, Auntie Joyce. Do we have any April babies? Do you have any April babies? Pop in the. Oh, Scott's an April baby. What? All right, Scott. What's the date? What's the which date in April is it?
The 23rd.
April 23rd. Okay, awesome. Well, happy birthday, happy pre-birthday. We'll kind of keep a nose that day comes closer. Thanks, Scott. Any other April babies? Barbara. Barbara is joining us. Barbara, I don't recognize your name for the first time visitor. Welcome, Barbara, from North Idaho. How's the weather in North Idaho like right now, Barbara? Idaho's a beautiful state. Neil is here with us. Welcome, Neil. Neil, if I'm not mistaken, Will is signed up for the Islander Ohana for the upcoming cohort, which is awesome. So I'm looking to get to know you better, Neil, and thank you for being here. Aloha, everyone. Our good friend Tom. Tom, you made it. Right time. Snowy? Is it snowing in UK? Seriously? That's a little bit of a shock. Tom, you made it at the right time. This time it's great to see you. And Judy is back with us. Judy is an alumni of the Islander Ohana. Thank you, Judy. Great to have you here. Nice photo, by the way, you and your husband there. Steve is with us. Steve is aloha from Salt Lake City, Utah. Welcome, Steve. Good to have you here with us. Kev, aloha from Canada. Kev is an alumni, a newly anointed alumni of the Islander Ohana, made it through the course. Kev, good to see you again. Got a bunch of people here with us, which is awesome. Patrick is here. Snow tonight in Germany. Wow, that global warming is kicking in, isn't it? Especially in the spring. Gil's back. Welcome, Gil. Woot, happy Aloha Friday, y'all, from Cali. Welcome back, Gil. This is great. It's like the whole gang's back together again. And Neil, geez, that's okay. Neil is confirming, yes, on the Islander Ohana. Christopher is back with us. Aloha Friday. Happy Aloha Friday, kahiaka. Aloha, Christopher. Good to have you back. Auntie Joyce, so wild to be on posted, of course. And today's your wedding anniversary. Okay. Yeah, if it didn't work out, we could say it was a joke. That's the wedding theme. So, Auntie Joyce, how many years? That's what I want to know. How many years? How many years of an anniversary are you celebrating today with your lucky husband? Daughter and her husband arrived on Honolulu for their honeymoon. Her birthday is in April. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. I don't think there's a better place for honeymoons than Hawaii. That's it. That's all I can. That's all I can say. Hawaii, no cutlery for that. And Patrick is back. Aloha, guys, and Heidi tuning in today's program from Midtown Manhattan while in the Big Apple for the weekend. Patrick, great to see you, buddy. Awesome. Glad you're with us. Glad you're taking the time out of your day. Midtown Manhattan. You're 6 hours ahead of us. It's 6 plus 9 is 15. It's 3 o'clock. Welcome, Auntie Joyce, 34 years. Awesome. Congratulations. We're having actually, my wife and I are celebrating our 30th anniversary this year. So I'm kind of happy about that, but not as happy as I would be as if with 34 years. Warming up here in, I can't pronounce that. Early wildflowers begin to break, though. That must be kind of cool. Wildflowers. And Juliana's back. Welcome back, Juliana. Aloha Friday to all. And Mark Whitehill is back, one of the foundational members, I would say, Mark, of the alumni of the Islander Ohana, moved over here. Scott helped them find a condo, and they're enjoying that. They bought that at the right time, which means that they bought. That's the right time. All right. I think I got the whole queue of everybody. Welcome back, everyone. Good to all see you. Let's move on to some fun and let's talk about some news over here. What am I supposed to click on next? I think it's right over there. Okay. So I'm picking out, it's this news thing originally started about COVID updates, right? So thank God COVID's done. So we don't have anything left to talk about that. So I try to pick out news that I think is kind of fun to talk about, newsworthy or whatever. Let's see how this goes. Let me know what you think in the comments. Should we keep the news? Should we drop it? You tell me. All right. So masks are gone, gang, for some. So the big news is that the indoor mask mandate has been lifted. So that means that organizations don't have to have a mask mandate if they don't want. Some do. There are some places that like hospitals and things of that nature. I think airlines is a federal thing, so it's not a local thing. But the masks are gone. Now, here's what's shocking to me, and I'd like to get some feedback from Heidi and Scott on this when you guys speak. But I was at Costco yesterday. So the mask mandate went away on the 25th. If I'm not mistaken, 25th of March, and yesterday was the 31st of March. So 6 days later, I go into Costco, my bi-weekly Costco ritual. 90% of the folks are wearing masks, 90%, and which was interesting to me. I mean, you do what you got to do. I didn't have mine, but I was interested about that 90% figure. Does that surprising to you? What do you think about that? No mask mandate. You walk into Costco, 90% of people are still wearing masks. Where is it at? Where is it at? How is it where you're at? Is it the same? You walk into Costco, is it going to be empty? I'm curious about that. All right. The other big news, no travel restrictions. So that's been dropped. So we don't have, there are no more, the app that you had to put on, the app that you had to register with, the vaccine you had to show, the negative test, that's all out the window. So we are open. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see what's going to happen with that. Like I said earlier, I'm no longer tracking COVID stats because as far as I'm concerned, COVID is over. Fuel contamination. So we've been tracking this one for a while. If you've been a part of this group, you've been knowing that there's been this issue about this area called Red Hill on Oahu, where there's been a fuel spill in the water supply. It's gone through all levels of dramas. There's been people that have been that lived on military bases that had to be relocated out of their homes temporarily. Those folks are back. There are some stories now. There are some concerns that Ernie Lau, the Board of Water Supply Chief Engineer and Manager, is worried that he's seeing some distressing developments secondhand. There's a story that this fuel spill may be spreading into other parts of the water supply. That's not going to be good. I don't think that's going to turn out well. But I wanted to. It's been a hot issue, so we'll be keeping our finger on that one. Vacation rentals. So this is one thing I want to hear from Scott. I don't think it's been passed as law yet, but I think it's pretty much going to be a done deal. We've talked about this over the past weeks of the show. Looks like vacation rental units outside of the resort areas on Oahu will be a thing of the past. So that means that you're going to only be able to, if you're staying for a vacation, like an Airbnb, etc., it's only going to be into 3 areas, which is Waikiki, Olina, which is on the west side of the island, and on the north shore near Turtle Bay. Other than that, Airbnb is going to be out. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see what's going to happen with that. Scott, I'd be really interested in hearing, I think the effect in Kailua, which was almost practically a resort area, rental wise. That's going to be interesting. And then finally, Hawaii's population is shrinking. This is part of what the Islander Ohana is all about. More people leave Hawaii than come to Hawaii. I believe last time I checked the stats, about 50,000 people a year move to Hawaii. Every year, about 60,000 people leave Hawaii. Part of the Islander Ohana is to help you not be one of those statistics, because it's a big deal if you make a mistake. Anyway, the population it's a continuing trend. Population is going down in Hawaii by about 10,000 a year, a net negative, and that started in 2017. However, and maybe we'll touch on this when Dylan gets back. The Big Island's been growing. And actually Maui looks like it. Honolulu and Maui fell, but Hawaii, Big Island, and Kauai grew. So that's a quick update for the news. Why don't we do a quick update? Give us a market update, or if you got a whale watch update, Heidi, we'll go clockwise. We'll go Heidi, and we'll go Scott. You got a whale watch update, Heidi, or anything else? Fill us in, Heidi. What's been going on Maui? What do you want to share, market wise or news wise? What's going on?
Sure. Well, it seems on Maui people are adapting pretty quickly to the no mask mandate. I see a few people wearing masks, but for the most part, people are happy not to have to wear masks in the grocery store or the gas station or everywhere, like we've had to do for so long. A quick real estate update. I mean, I was looking at the statistics going back over 10 years, and new listings coming on the market has been relatively stable, which I thought was interesting. I mean, so everybody talks about right now, there's no inventory. I mean, there's just as many listings coming on the market. There's just more buyers. This morning on Maui, there were 174 homes for sale, 141 condominiums. And that's less than 2 months of supply. So a balanced market's generally considered about 6 months of supply. So we are definitely still in a seller's market. But the good news is there are still new listings coming on the market. So every day is a new day.
Every day is a new day. Well said, Heidi. Heidi, I saw a stat, and I don't know if you can confirm or deny or this or not comment. Is the something of that? This was in this sort of vacation rental kind of movement going on. There was the story specifically was on Maui and taxes going up for vacation rentals and things of that nature. One stat that got thrown out, and it said something like 70% of the homes sold last year in Maui were to out-of-state buyers. I don't know if that rings a bell, if you heard that stat or not. Any feedback on that at all?
I don't know of that statistic in particular, but I mean, yes, a large percentage of homes and properties are being purchased by out-of-state buyers, and it's been that way for a while. But I mean, it seems like even in the, your kind of residential condo space. I mean, I just listed a 3-bedroom condo for $748 in a residential neighborhood. That same listing a few years ago, I mean, the buyers would have all been local buyers for it. And the buyers making offers on this property today are families that recently relocated here from California or are retiring here, wanted to put their kids in school during the pandemic to be able to go to real school instead of virtual school. That motivated a lot of people to move a couple years ago. So yeah, I mean, off-island buyers are a big part of the market. And one of the reasons that people do leave Maui is often housing affordability and young people going to college on the mainland and establishing lives other places.
Yeah, that's definitely. Well, I could definitely attest to that. A lot of families, and it's a big. It's kind of somewhat of a little bit of a. I wouldn't call it a sore point. It's a sad point for parents, people that are here. I'm one of them. Your kids go off to the mainland for college. You think you're doing the right thing, sending them off there. They go there and they're like, I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back. All right. Or I can't afford to come back or whatever it is. Before we go on to Scott, I'm going to say a few, some shout outs to everybody else who's coming on in. Bobby's back. Welcome, Bobby. Bobby's alumni of the Islander Ohana has got a home on the Big Island now, thanks to Dylan, which is awesome. Jason's back. Jason, alumni. Aloha to you all. Welcome back, Jason. Good to see you, buddy. Heather, a beautiful spring day here in Oregon. Yes, there you go, Heather. It's a beautiful spring day, but I'm sure it's better in Hawaii. Heather, yeah. The weather's always better in Hawaii. So look, even this sort of, I would say, kind of lousy temperatures here. Look at on the bottom, gang. Here it's 78 degrees all the way across, nonstop. Even though it's going to be cloudy, 78 the whole week. So yeah, Heather, don't worry, Heather. You'll be here soon. I know you guys are going to make it. You'll never beat Hawaii's weather, no matter what. That's just the way it goes, and we love that. That's why we pay the price of paradise. Christopher, keep up the news. Great to know what's going on from locals into the news. Great. Well, Christopher, thank you. I appreciate that. I will keep that up. Tom says 90% don't wear masks here anymore. That's what I would think would be the norm. That's why I was a little bit surprised. But I think there's an underlying reason behind that, a cultural thing in Hawaii. We'll talk about that in a minute. Steve, interesting. Yeah, local Costco only seeing 10% mask. It's just the opposite here. I was like one of the rare, I was one of the rare ones who did not have one. A Ninth Island, Christie, Ninth Island gang is, of course, Vegas, 80% no mask here. And Auntie Joyce, yeah, it makes sense. Most buyers are off island, hope they do their homework, and they would be better informed if we're part of the Islander Ohana. Yes, exactly. That's what we're trying to tell everybody. But that's that. All right. Great, everyone. Love the comments. Really appreciate it. Scott, give us the latest. Oahu, what do you see trend-wise? Anything you want to comment on? News, updates, etc.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit on the news, and then I'll give you kind of the market update. But yeah, from the mask component, yeah, I'm seeing more people than I thought wearing masks around. I still see the single individual with the mask on driving their car with no one else in the car, which has always been a funny one to me. I'm not sure they're trying to protect themselves from themselves or what, but yeah, it's been interesting. The travel restrictions component, so we're all clear. Japan lifted their restrictions. However, the one restriction that they do have is the number of people coming back into Japan per day is still limited, and they're starting to release that more and more. So by the summertime, we should be fully back from the Japanese visitors. So that should be interesting on that front, because the tourism side is actually really strong here. But that's all mainland driven right now. And then on the vacation rental side, yeah, I think they're going to pass that bill. That's been the indication. And it's technically what it's doing in the non-resort areas, meaning apartment zone and residential zoning, is taking it. You could rent your place out for a minimum of 30 days before. Well, still can. But if they pass the bill, then it will be most likely become a minimum 90-day rental that you have to do in the resort, in the residential and apartment zoning areas. So in regards to Kailua and these neighborhoods, I don't really understand the purpose of the bill. It doesn't make sense to me. They addressed the issue of short-term vacation rentals in residential areas with the previous bill. It cleaned that up. So they're just getting stronger on that capacity now. There aren't a whole lot. I mean, they're trying to bend the rules a little bit on the 90-day for a couple of people like contract workers and stuff, nurses coming here for a 3-month contract. But I don't see it. I don't think it's going to have a big impact on Kailua. That impact that already happened. They wiped out the vacation rental capacity there before. So I don't think it's going to affect us that much.
Oh, interesting. So the impact, and that was the impact has already been sort of priced in Kailua. They've already kind of they're already feeling the effects of the short-term vacation rentals. This one's not going to make it that much worse. Is that it?
Yeah, it's not really going to change it. I mean, if you have an ADU anyway,
ADU stands for
accessory dwelling unit.
Accessory dwelling unit.
Those are technically minimum 6-month rental, and 30 days, 90 days. I mean, 90 days does make a difference, but there aren't that many people that are renting their places out for 30 days at a time. Anyhow, most people are minimum 6 months to a year in the residential zoning. So it's a select few that it's going to target.
That's interesting. I thought that I was under the sort of I had the impression, and I've been not I don't follow it the way you do, that Kailua was almost practically a resort town, like almost all the stuff going on over there was Airbnb stuff. But apparently that's not so much the case.
So the previous bill that they passed made it illegal for you to advertise on Airbnb, and it made the sites. It held the sites accountable as well for allowing you to advertise for less than 30 days. So that is not allowed anymore, and it's a stiff fine. It's like $10,000 per offense. I know someone who just actually got a $20,000 fine for incorrect wording on Airbnb and they had it for a 30-day rental, but the wording wasn't quite right, and they got a $20,000 fine from DPP. So that was taken care of in the previous bill. That was like 3 years ago. Now, why they're coming back with this one, I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Interesting. We'll see how it goes. Patrick is asking, how would they even enforce these rental durations? That's a good question. Scott, you want to?
It's purely an advertising thing at that point. Or if your neighbor complains and DPP comes over and there's someone there, I mean, I can't see them saying, hey, we want to see your rental lease, because there's some private information there. They don't have, they're not allowed to have access to that. But if you're advertising it for less than 90 days, say, then you're going to run into problems. Because in that article that came out yesterday, DPP even said they're going to hire someone specifically for that kind of enforcement. So it does look like they're going to try to step up on the enforcement side.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably not that, Patrick, to Scott's point, it's probably not that hard, because you can go, a quick search on Airbnb will tell you right away, right? And so, it doesn't take much. And I'm certain that, I'm confident that the Airbnb folks would supply city and county with some information and things like that. So compliant as they can be. Heidi, is there anything you want to comment on this topic overall? Do you see things kind of changing? I mean, there's changes in the air about, the housing market, vacation rentals, taking up housing, that whole kind of shift. COVID's kind of forced a lot of that. Have you been following that on Maui? Kind of, do you have what's your sense of kind of what's going on with that at all? You want to unmute?
Yeah, Maui County is extremely serious about enforcing legal vacation rentals, and the county does actually hire investigators to go online and look even in the middle of the night to try to find illegal ads and cut down on illegal rentals. But there are lots of places on Maui where you can legally vacation rent. So, I mean, if that's your goal, that should really be the focus. The good thing is, there's not a lot of gray area about it. However, Maui County, there are some proposals in front of Maui County Council to further limit vacation rentals in the future. We have a list, it's called the Minatoya properties, of all these apartment zoned areas that it's been codified into Maui County Code that they are legal vacation rentals, but the original zoning didn't allow for it. So one of the proposals was, once these properties are sold, the new owner can no longer vacation rent that property. Well, I mean, there's been a ton of opposition to that. So I honestly don't know if that's even, going to happen or not. But there's another proposal that we could only have vacation rentals in the sea level exposure area, so like right along the ocean. And then they would want to convert legal vacation rentals that were farther away from the ocean back to residential. So, I mean, it's always an ongoing discussion on Maui, and I mean, it always has. Because I mean, there's a balance of tourism and having affordable housing and a number of other factors. But I could never, recommend that somebody think that they could successfully operate an illegal vacation rental. I mean, the fines are just too huge, and it just wouldn't be worth it.
It used to be the way, frankly, I'm glad that the enforcement is finally working. It used to be, and this must have changed, Scott, because, years ago, long time ago, there was no enforcement whatsoever. It was just like the Wild West. And clearly that has, Scott, you're nodding, clearly that has changed. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that bill that passed prior to that, it was on DPP's side to figure out if you were doing it illegally. Now it flipped it, and it puts the onus on the owner to be able to prove that you're not doing that, and it's much easier. It gave DPP teeth, is what it did, and the only time prior to that bill passing, essentially your neighbor had to complain because they didn't want to touch anything. It was way too much work to do it. Who I do see getting impacted by this bill are people who want to transition over here into short-term housing while they're looking to buy a home, or military transitioning over here. 3 months is the minimum. It's not too bad, but if you're wanting a 1 month or a 2 month rental, you're not going to be able to do that. If someone's building their home and it's finishing construction and they need some transition period, then you could fall into that 30-day to 90-day zone where you do get impacted by this.
So basically what you're going to need, basically what it comes down to on Oahu is if it's not going to be a 90-day or more, you're just going to have to get a vacation condo in Waikiki or in Ko'olina or in the North Shore. Those are your three places. And frankly, Waikiki is not a bad place to live. I mean, I lived there when I first moved here for at least a couple years. And I'm certain you could find some kind of a condo unit. Okay, great. Let's move on real quick, folks, just to kind of give you the heads up. Got any questions, pop them in now so we can kind of cover them. I got one from Paul here that I'm gonna get yours next, Paul. If you have any questions on anything, it doesn't have to be real estate only, it could be anything about Hawaii, pop it in the comments and we'll cover it as part of the show. I got slides already. We're gonna our normal sort of planned stuff, but you folks come first. So let us know. All right. Let's hit Paul's question. The Hawaii University and Community College system, did any of you attend? Are your kids going there? What do you think of the system? So Paul, thanks. So the University of Hawaii and the Hawaii Community Colleges is what you're talking to. UH, or UH as we call it here, University of Hawaii, UH. UH is a fairly highly rated university. They're in the, there was an article the other day that they're like in the top 1% in certain areas. So you'd want to kind of do your research like any place else. UH is good. The community colleges are I would say the community colleges are good as well. They graduate a lot of people. It's the community colleges, like other community colleges on the mainland, are kind of a job training, a higher end job training kind of a thing. It's where you'd go to be like stuff's popping in my head over here. There's some community colleges that have like training for auto mechanics. There's other ones that are training for like nurses. There's other ones that have training for like EMTs, emergency medical technicians, things like that nature. That kind of a trade. It's a good kind of a trade school per se. So I think it would be, I would say they're good. You need to do your research like any place else. There is a significant difference in the tuition out of state versus in-state tuition. But UH is I'd have no problem. My daughter didn't, she on her own decided not to go to UH. I would have been happy if she did. Heidi, Scott, you guys got any comments that you want to add about the UH system? Any kind of feedback or anything that you want to add?
I didn't attend the UH system. I grew up on the mainland, went to college on the mainland, but yeah, I wouldn't have any problem sending my kid there. I mean, I know UH has a very good business school. They got a very good law school there as well. And even like Kapiolani Community College, right at the base of Diamond Head here, they're building a huge culinary kind of restaurant, but they have a really good culinary program and hospitality program that's excellent, and they're developing that out. They've had it for a long time up at the community college, but they're moving it. They're building their own separate facility with a nice restaurant and views right on the base of Diamond Head. So yeah, there's something for everybody in the different networks.
Yep, I've got some really good friends. Actually, I have quite a few faculty friends. I work with the faculty at across the University of Hawaii system, so I've got good friends. In fact, I've got some good friends on Maui that go to UH Maui College. Heidi, I don't know if you have any feedback that you want to share about the Maui College experience at all.
I mean, not too much. I didn't go there, but I do know they have a good culinary program, and I think nursing, and also, I mean, UH has a great marine biology program, I've heard, for studying the ocean and things like that. So yeah, I mean, we have a small campus in West Maui, but most of it's over on Kaʻalui on the other side of the island.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. It's a definitely yeah, it's a good thing. I think the ocean sciences are one thing that you mentioned, Heidi, which is logically makes a lot of sense, right? You'd think that the ocean sciences would be a natural, and they are. Um, Also, volcanology, of course, as you might think, the study of volcanoes and things of that nature, that makes total sense. All those things. So Paul, I would check it out. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, think about what we specialize in, and we're probably good at it, right? Ocean, hospitality, right?
Right. Great weather, meteorology, maybe. Uh, anyway, great. Thanks. Paul, hope that answers your question. We got a thing here from Auntie Joyce. I feel bad for those who purchase expensive homes and thought they could rent out until they actually moved here permanently, but I also sure don't want a swinging door policy in my neighborhood. And I think that's the issue, Auntie Joyce. I mean, people are, it's striking a balance. I mean, I know there's some, for example, Judy, uh, 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 but that are renting homes, but they're long-term rentals, right? And there's a bunch of there's rentals in the neighborhood. There are normal long-term rentals that rent to residents or long-term holds. I think it's the vacation part that was really well on Oahu for sure, Scott. As you know, before these laws got passed, it was really getting out of hand. It was like the whole island was like up for grabs, and I think the Airbnb thing really accelerated that, and it was a really an unexpected acceleration. And in Hawaii, that kind of really, really threw off everything. But this again, like as Heidi said, it's always kind of going to be it's a conversation. It's an ongoing conversation in Maui. We'll see how the effect is going to be here, Scott. So we'll see how it all goes. Good question from Barbara: is there a Honolulu Symphony? Is there an institute? And are there any local theater groups? Symphony, and there are some local theater groups. However, I would say, and Scott, I want your feedback on this. Um, it doesn't really compare to the mainland, right? Any big mainland city is going to vastly outstrip Hawaii in that sense. Hawaii is not really about that. I mean, yes, we do have a symphony, we do have theater groups, and I'd say they're pretty good, but it's not going to compare. If you're going to be doing a comparison between that, Hawaii is going to lose. Hawaii is about ocean and ocean sports and outdoor sports, surfing and water sports and things of that nature. Scott, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I've been to the symphony. I enjoy going. They do some good concerts. They even had one at the Waikiki Shell probably 5 months ago or something. I had a client of mine that was in town on a trip and went. And they'll fly people in, like specialist people come in to perform with them and whatnot. But it's enjoyable. But like you said, Peter, it's not going to be to the same caliber that you would get on the mainland.
Yeah, we've got we're I don't think we're members, but we support it. We've gone out to a few. They have a couple of cool things, which we've enjoyed. They do like a Star Wars. I don't know if you've seen that. They do the Star Wars thing where they play the movie, but they do the music, which is really kind of cool. Heidi, anything you want to comment on? Maui's got like the Maui Cultural Center, right? But I think what's that kind of used for? That's more for Hawaiian kind of cultural events, right, Heidi?
Well, yeah, Maui Arts and Cultural Center, which we call the MAC. I mean, that's where you can see a lot of different shows. I actually saw American Ballet Theater there a couple weeks ago. I mean, they bring in groups from all over, concerts. I mean, Hawaiian as well, but um, we've had a lot of great musicians and theater groups come in. But I mean, it does not compare to like being in New York or Chicago or something like that. And there's some small local theater companies and I mean, some things for kids and youth that are theater related, which is really cool. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to compare to a major city.
Yeah, don't you're not going to come to Hawaii to get a hold of the concerts and the cultural events. But as Scott said, what you do get is you get a lot of bands or performers that like Hawaii is like the last stop on their tour. Like they do like a worldwide tour and they end it in Hawaii, and they go because they want to come to Hawaii, not so much because they care about the huge ticket sales. But that's a quick one. Barbara, hope that helps and give you some information. Jason kicked in. Iration, I probably didn't pronounce that right, was there recently. Donovan, can't pronounce that last name, soon too. Tom Segura. Hey, so Jason's tracking it. Jason is tracking it, man. I guess I'm showing my age. I don't know who any of those people are. I have no idea who those people are. So I'm sure they're really good. That's so Jason, fill us in if you go to that concert. Great. Another question came up here from Kevin, who's out of Canada. Common allergies that come up on island, maybe things people wouldn't typically consider. So let's see. There are. I think Hawaii does have a high percentage of the one statistic that stuck out to me, Kev, was that Hawaii has a very high per capita instance of people with asthma. So there is whatever the thing, the pollen or whatever in the air kind of activates asthma. Seems to be more than other places, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think uh, it's due to some sort of bacteria that gets dropped by the cockroaches and by the bugs. There's something about like bug stuff, bug hairs, or whatever you want to call it, that kind of causes that. I believe, I'm not mistaken. Heidi, you want to comment on anything? You have any allergies? I mean, anything going on? 'Cause you lived in the country, in quote country, from Illinois, which has all kinds of stuff kind of flying around during the spring. How would you compare the two, Heidi?
I don't experience any allergy problems here, thankfully, and I didn't hear about those bugs, so that was news to me. But a lot of people are affected by the fog, which is from the volcano erupting on the Big Island occasionally, and sometimes on Maui, we say it's a very foggy day if you can't see the outer islands. I mean, the air is just kind of looks foggy or thick. And some people are affected by that and feel tired or sluggish on certain days, and then they have special tea that you can get that's supposed to help with those side effects. I've been fortunate that I haven't experienced too much of that, but that's what I hear most often.
Yeah, I've been thankfully free of all that stuff. Scott, what about you? Anything to report on allergy wise?
The only thing for me was when I was on the Big Island, when I lived on the Big Island, the fog was heavier then. The volcano was going. When it gets really active, it puts fog out in the air, and you do feel tired. I used to go drive down to Kona. I'd go to Costco. I lived up in Puako, up by Kauai, which is in this funnel area where the trade winds blow pretty well, but Kona can get socked in sometimes. I'd go to Costco and I'd come driving back. I'd be super tired, destroyed. The only other two things I think for me are Aloha itis, which happens around 4 p.m., 3 p.m. on a Friday afternoon maybe. And I start to feel real lazy and just want to have like a cocktail and kick back. And the only other thing I would say that I've run into is, the rash that you get when you're out on your surfboard too long out in the water, maybe for a good 3-hour surf session. But
No, there you go. Those are good
not too
burns. I
much.
love that. Those are great. Yes, yes. I have a problem of my clothing doesn't dry off fast enough because it's always in the ocean. That's yeah. I don't get a chance I come home and I hang up my my swim shorts, and they're not quite dry when I'm ready to go back in the water again. That's a big bummer. Love that. Yeah. So Jason has confirmed that roach dander. That's it. That's the word. Thank you. Roach dander. That's the word. That's the word that we're looking for. Roach dander. And yeah, mold allergies, and that's also what Auntie Joyce has mentioned. I think. Mold allergies. Jessica. Jessica, mold and fog. Jessica is a alumni of Islander Ohana. Jessica, you moved here recently. If you have anything specific that you want to add to that, that'd be great. Mold. I mentioned about the mold because you guys are living on Oahu. We don't get that much mold here, but obviously it must be more than what you're used to. Kev, yeah, great answers. Log into consideration. Fog is, it's really like Scott had mentioned. It's really only an issue, really fog and breathing wise on the Big Island. There are some boy those Scott those and Heidi those like heavy fog days are like boy we haven't had like a bad fog day for a long time. It's been a while. The volcano has kind of calmed down significantly. You too can catch Aloha-itis. Yes, it's what everybody wants to catch for sure. Heather, yeah, a new word, fog. Correct. Fog is volcanic, quote, volcanic smog, right? It's stuff, and it only really comes when the winds blow in the not normal direction. Normally, the winds are blowing out of the trade winds are blowing out of the northeast. So the winds go from northeast to southwest. That's typically how the winds kind of flow across the islands, which basically takes all of the Big Island fog and blows it really out of everyone's way, except for a little bit for the Kona side. So the state is pretty clean. However, there are those rare days, and they're rare, when the winds blow the exact opposite direction. They blow out of the south towards the north, and that's the days when, like Heidi says, you don't see the islands, or the days when Honolulu looks like LA. And even on those days, I've never seen a sort of a breathing alert or a stay indoors kind of a warning ever in the almost 40 years that I've been here. But for those that are sensitive, if you're asthmatic and things of that nature, those are, some things to kind of square away. And yeah, breathe easier when I'm in Hawaii. Heather, that's the thing, man. I mean, that's the thing that you get to learn, right? When there's a lot of things that had to occur. I'd be curious to know about. Okay, so here's a question for everybody. So for those of you that have moved to Hawaii, what was the biggest sort of physical change that you've noticed in yourself? Your biggest physical change as a result of the climate in Hawaii? What has changed that about yourself? Like here, I'll throw an example. So for me, one of the biggest things when I used to have my hair longer was my hair got curlier. When I moved to Hawaii, my hair got curlier because of I was originally from Chicago. Chicago was probably a little bit drier, maybe indoors often, where you get all dried out, and my hair was more straight. But when I came here to Hawaii, even though our humidity is not as bad as Chicago's humidity, the moistness in the air relaxed my hair, and my hair was curly. I never knew I had curly hair until I moved to Hawaii. Nosebleeds. I get nosebleeds all the time in Chicago, all the time. I would blow my nose and be blood in the napkin. Came to Hawaii, boom, gone. Again, because of the moisture. So that was me. What about you? Did you have any kind of physiological change? What has changed in your life since you moved to Hawaii? I'd love to know about that. Let me make sure I get some everyone's all comments over here. Let's see. Jessica, thanks, Jess. Had to wash my curtains after only 4 months. They had mold already. Interesting. Okay. We wash our curtains too. Never thought about that as something that would be different. Mold on the curtains. Good. There you go. And Auntie Joy, suntans all year long. Yes, but you got to make sure you get sun. See, Auntie Joyce, you're doing it right? You're getting the sun. Not everybody gets the sun. Some of us, kind of white still from not quite enough sun. Let's see. Kev says, had to start to use Google for different holidays observed. Tried calling for jobs on a Monday, but it was not a holiday, and recognized the mainland. Yes, there's Hawaii. There's local holidays, right? We just had Prince. In fact, we had Prince Kuhio was just last week, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Smile muscles get more toned. I love that. I love that. And Mark says, on the mainland, I would get flaky skin on my face, especially in the winter when I was inside all the time here. Here, it's almost non-existent. Yeah, great example. Yeah, exactly, Mark. Thanks. Heidi, what about you? Did you notice anything kind of physically that was different after you moved to Maui?
Yeah, I think Maui is the ideal climate for my skin. I used to get dry skin in the winter, and I just don't experience that here. So I think it's a good environment for my skin.
Yeah, for sure. Scott, what about you?
Yeah, it's the same thing. I actually use chapstick now because my lips get sunburned when I'm out too much, rather than for chaplets, dry lips or whatever. But yeah, just overall, I just feel better. I mean, I mentioned it when I came back from that Portland trip in December, where I was wearing heavy clothes, warm clothes the whole time I was there, and I came back and it just felt good. Period, just to be in shorts and a t-shirt and slippers. I mean, it just all around general better mood.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I mean, the weather is just, it's something that you really take for granted, right? You really do take for granted in any direction. You really don't realize, what a profound effect the weather has on your life. It's something that you interact with all the time. It's nothing that you can kind of, even if you have to stay inside in a completely air conditioned room or climate controlled room, it still affects you. The fact that you have to kind of be inside and be climate controlled all the time is affecting you. So that's a big thing. Gil says, haven't moved there yet, but for the 2 weeks I'm there every year. The physical change for me is I just feel great. I notice a big smile every time I look in the mirror. That's it, man. I mean, that's what does it. That is living the dream, my man. Living the dream. Christy, the humidity for sure, especially after living in the desert when we lived there 2 years ago. Yeah, well, that's a bit of a difference. Ray says, we were U.S. Army there years ago. My wife Grace says her big change was being tan. That'll do it, man. The tanning will definitely do it. Although, if you're naturally, if you're Caucasian skin color, you do have to watch it. You do have to kind of temper that because your skin can get leathery. Your skin can get leathery, so you kind of want to moderate that. Sun goddess are kind of cool. After it wears off, I mean, Scott, like you, if I'm going to go surfing, and if it's like in the morning, I usually go early in the morning, so I don't need any sun protection at all. But if it's any time after that, I'm wearing the full rash guard shirt, SPF 30. I'm going to put some sunscreen because I just don't want to get burned. The allure of yeah. Go ahead, Scott.
You got the sunscreen mask going on, huh? Out in the
Yeah,
water. The guy I can't recognize in the water, right?
That's right. That's right. I got my sunscreen mask going on. Exactly. Judy, hoping the moist air will plump up my wrinkles. Well, Judy, wrinkles or not, the natural beauty shines through, and Hawaii lets that happen, and that's, I think, the most important thing. What is emanating from you, and that is what's kind of happening. Heidi's right, saving a ton of money on facials here. No need, because skin remains moisturized. Well, there you go. See, this is stuff. This is like girl stuff. Guys don't figure this out. All I know is like my nose isn't bleeding anymore. That's all I know. It's but yeah, the moisturizer, sure. Bobby, every week I'm able to stay outdoors in the yard longer. Yeah, exactly, right, and enjoying those beautiful views from your home. Yeah, that's totally awesome. Excellent. All right, let's move on. Let's do a quick. Let's see, real quick. We're going to move on. Let me do a quick thing here. Gang, we are forming the next cohort is coming up. It's going to start in the end of April. There's only a few seats left. It's almost sold out. If you've been thinking about it, if you want to be a part of the Islander Ohana, this is where we go through a really what I call the Hawaii transformation, the Hawaii Islander transformation program that includes the financial part, the spiritual part, which is the most important thing, the cultural part, everything, on five in-person conferences with access to content for a lifetime. Where you want to get into that, islanderohana.com. If you haven't yet, you better get in, because it is going to sell out, I am sure, within the next week or so. So get yourself in. All right. Let's move on here. Why don't we do this? It's almost quarter two. Why don't we kind of do our let's get into diamonds and deals. I want to kind of see what Heidi and Scott have planned for us. Let's hit this first one here. This is okay, Heidi. Let's see here. This says 20 Alakai Drive, 8-bedroom, 9.5 bath. Oh man, I love this hotel zone beach. It looks like a hotel for the low price of $24 million. Oh, Heidi, fill us in. I love it.
So this is one of only 6 homes right on Kaanapali Beach, and it's very rare because it's in hotel zoning, so you could use this for a vacation rental. I looked on the rental site, and the rates are anywhere between $13,000 and $20,000 a night. So I imagine the income is quite good if you can afford the purchase price. Um, and I actually walk on the beach path in front of this home quite often. And in 2020, I'm pretty sure they were filming a reality show here, but I'm not sure which one. But anyway, this just hit the market, 24,500,000. It's right on Kaanapali Beach. You can see the picture of the beach there. So pretty amazing property.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, so here's something that's interesting about this property, and I want to ask the Ohana to chime in. So I want y'all to look at this property. Look at the big shot there, and here's the gotcha or the trivia question or the trick question or whatever. What's missing? What's missing in this home on that big shot? What's missing? You got the dining room area on the left. You got a seating area. I mean, the dining room area on the right. You got a seating area on the left. You have some stuff in the background. What's missing? This is actually thank you, Heidi. This kind of stuff that you don't even realize exists, right? $24 million property, but do the math. Someone get a calculator out. What's the average? How many days? Say you rented out 20 days out of the year, and Heidi, you said it was 13,000 a day. Is that what you said?
On the rental site, it says the nightly rate ranges from 13,000 to 20,000 a night.
13,000. So let's just take the round number of say 12,000 a night, gang. What's 12,000 times 20? Say if you rented it for 20 days out of the year. Jason, great great answer. What's missing me? Yeah, there you go. That's that's good. Good one. Good one. What's missing? All right. Excellent. Excellent. That's it. Thank you, Heidi, for this. This is like dreamy, right? I mean, that sunset view on the it's just it's an astounding property. Thank you for sharing that. It's really fun to kind of get this. It gives the rest of us sort of an otherworldly view of what's out there. Scott, what are we looking at? Ko'olina Beach Villas. What's this?
Yeah, I love this. We never coordinate these things, and they always seem to just line up. So this is a legal vacation rental. This is Ko'olina Beach Villas. It's a 1,200, a little less than 1,200 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2-bath in the Ko'olina Resort area. This is one of the only actual buildings in the Ko'olina Resort that you can actually legally vacation rental, and it has 6-figure rental income. If you that's a drone shot, but that the property is right there in front. That's one of the lagoons on the main picture there, where the sunset kind of capacity is going. You can see all the way down to down the Waianae coast. But upper left is the view from the lanai. You get insane views. You're gonna have sunsets every night. It's very well appointed. They got a lot of warm woods and things, but it has everything. It has actually even a thatched roof covered bar for the owners, workout facility, multiple pools. And you have easy access to all the other things that are on the Ko'olina Resort, like the golf course, Roy's restaurant, etc. Even wander over to the Four Seasons and hang out there if you want. And this one's $2.295 million, so a little bit less, a little more affordable than Heidi's, but interesting that we both brought on legal vacation rental units to show.
It is, and almost the same numbers if you move a digit over. If you add a decimal point, you guys are really close. So interesting. And Tom did the math here. You have to rent it for just over 2,000 nights for it to pay for itself, if my math is right. So 2,000 nights, that's what, like 6 years, 6 years or so on a payback. That's roughly 5.5 years. Yeah, that's all you need to do is come up with 24 million. Maybe we'll do like some kind of a let's start a fund, right? We can start a fund. I'll kind of pour our money into the fund and just buy the darn thing. That would be awesome. So
layaway program.
Layaway. Heidi, can we put that on? Is there a layaway program? They only have to wait for us to kind of raise 24 million. But that is an astounding property. And Patrick's got the answer. I'm going to go back here to Heidi's property. So Patrick's got the answer. Walls and windows. That's what's missing. Walls and windows, right? I'm sure there's some walls and windows way in the back there somewhere, but this is the most remarkable part about Hawaii properties, right? Is that there's probably some kind of a sliding wall there somewhere, Heidi, maybe on some parts of it, that you can kind of move around, right? Heidi, you want to comment on? Do you want to add to that, or I'm sorry?
Yeah, you can enclose. There are some areas that stay outdoor areas, but you can enclose the entire home and lock it up. They're just the walls that completely open. It's that indoor-outdoor lifestyle. I mean, that's what's so great. I mean, we've talked about this before. Like, you use your outdoor areas here. You use your lanai. So it's all an extension of the living space.
Yeah, that is just dreamy. It's the coolest thing. It's the one thing that I remember. My dad first remarked about that when he came out here, was that he remarked that what he really noticed when he visited the first time was that he was like freaking out that the hotels didn't have doors. He's like, the hotels don't have doors. There are no doors in the hotels, and he's right. You just kind of walk into the lobbies, and those lobbies don't have doors at all. I mean, not even the sliding tempered. They just don't have doors, and that is the most remarkable thing. That's how you know Hawaii's weather is perfect. If the hotels do not have doors, you just walk into the lobby. They're covered for rain and things like that, but that is a remarkable part. All right, gang. Last call for questions. I think we got one more. There's one more slide. That kind of good question that came in. I wanted to kind of cover this one. I think it's kind of worthy of a fun discussion. So here's one that came in from. Let's pull it up over here. So this came in from Tara from San Diego, and Tara asked, how hard is it to find a home with at least a quarter acre that backs into the jungle and up into the jungle and has a pool What do you think about Monowili? So here's what I wanted to kind of to touch on is these jungle homes. Tara, is Scott's going to confirm? Sure. It's there somewhere. You can find it. You can find a home. Not so much against a jungle, because jungles don't really have like a well-defined property line, right? I mean, jungle's almost like a way of life, right? You're kind of living in a jungle area. So that's not a problem with a pool. Monowili, great area, amazing waterfalls, an incredible part of the windward side. Here's the topic I wanted to kind of to get some feedback from Heidi and from Scott is, and from you, the Ohana. What's a consideration that you need to have if you're coming from the mainland? You got this fantasy, right? We got this, we all have the Hawaii fantasy. I want to live in the jungle. I want to have, rainforest and birds and in this pool that I could kind of make into a waterfall and kind of live in this sort of jungle life. It's amazing, right? What are some things that you may not have thought of that you might not want to do? Why wouldn't you want a jungle house with a pool? This is a question let's take the Oahu side first. We'll go Scott first, and then we'll go to Heidi. Why wouldn't you, Scott? What would you tell Tara about? You sure you want a jungle house? What would you say to Scott?
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, yes, you can definitely get them. Fourth acre is not that big. Monowili is an example of it, but effectively the closer you get to the mountains, the closer you get to the ko'olaus on either side of the ridge, the more jungly it's going to get. And what comes with that is rain and precipitation, and the clouds come in off that windward side, and as they go over the mountain, they're going to release that water. So it will be wetter. You will get mosquitoes probably, and that you got to be careful of that pool of yours. Unless it's covered, it may end up being a pond. You may not use it very often because it's just going to be too much rain. So if you don't like Seattle type of weather, you probably want to get a little further away from the mountain itself. But I actually showed a property, I want to say it was 2 years ago. Beautiful. It was a perfect day, but it was tucked up literally to the ko'olaus, and we saw it on that day when it was perfectly clear. Clients fell in love with it. It had a pool as well. We went back another day when it was cloudy and rainy, and it was a completely different feel because it was not the same vibe. You didn't have that warm weather. You realized you were not going to use the yard and the pool. It had a nice lush feeling, but it was just too wet. You were going to be indoors all the time. And mold and mildew come with that.
Mold and mildew. It's the fantasy. The fantasy is one thing. The reality is another. And the Ohana sure is kicking in with some right answers. Stephanie, cockroaches, centipedes, spiders. Yeah, bugs. More bugs than you normally get. Scott mentioned mosquitoes. Certainly with the moisture, a lot more mosquitoes than you would get if you live in town. Huge centipedes. Yeah, and we've had some centipede stories. And one of my other things. A lot of crawlies in the jungle. We stayed at a great place in South Kona on the Big Island that felt very jungly. Yep, those jungle homes, man, and termites, and their home's going to get eaten away. You're fighting against Mother Nature. Auntie Joyce, jungle life not for me. Don't want to live with B-52 flying roaches. Kokies are the frogs. Thank God, right now they're still primarily on the Big Island. They're making some inroads here, but not quite. Mongooses, mosquitoes, and constant rain and mold. No, yeah, no pool, but you get the idea, though, right, Heather? And bugs will use your pool more than you will. Yeah. And those ponds, like Scott said, it's a lot more maintenance than you think. Heidi, what's your advice if somebody wants to live in the jungles of Maui? Like Hana is a great example, right? Hana is like gorgeous, otherworldly, the most beautiful place on earth, but it's on the windward side of Maui. It's on the wet side. What kind of advice would you tell people to kind of think through, Heidi?
Well, there are definitely some jungle properties on Maui, and actually one of our friends lives out in Haiku at this really cool property next to a stream, and he grows a lot of his own food. Well, there was a big rainstorm and the stream became a rushing river, and it was going pretty much right under his house, and he sent us videos of it. It was absolutely terrifying. The other downside is the mold. I mean, this guy is a musician. He has all these drums. He's been out there for years. Pretty much everything is molding, and you can tell. I mean, just driving around, out in Hana or some of the wetter areas of Haiku, you'll see an abandoned car and it's totally overtaken by mold. I mean, it's just, I didn't even know this could happen. But um, yeah, it's a different world out there. But the good news is there's no lions or tigers or bears or snakes.
So Heidi, you're supposed to say lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, that's the line you're supposed to use. Lions, tigers, bears. Oh my, yeah.
Yeah, there's no big scary predators. It's just, little mongoose and I guess bugs. But yeah, no snakes, no tigers, no bears. So it's pretty safe.
No rabid animals. There's no rabies. You don't have to worry about getting bit by something that's kind of lethal poison. I mean, there's some poison in some centipede, but it's going to hurt, but it's not going to kill you, at least presumably. So yeah. So and Auntie Joyce says a best place to live in jungle life is Costa Rica. Yeah, I would guess so. I've never been, but yeah, that would think. And curtains of spiders and webs too. You know what's interesting, you guys, is this thing about the mold. Jessica brought this up about the mold on the shower after 3 or 4 months. I guess it's been so like ingrained. I've never even given that a second. I was like, yeah, doesn't everybody get mold on their curtains after a few months that you have to kind of wash out? Yes, yeah, right. I guess not on the mainland. It's something it's a built-in thing. I didn't think of that as an abnormal thing. There's one other final thing about this jungle life. It's not so much jungle, but it's Scott. It's to your point is, in Hawaii, if you're going to be in the jungle area, it is practically by definition that you're kind of near the mountains because that's kind of where the rain comes. So it kind of comes with the territory. There is another element of living in near mountains, which is rock slides, right? The volcanic mountains, unlike other mountain ranges on the mainland, which are granite or what have you, Hawaii is it's 100% volcanic, and volcanic stuff it crumbles. It crumbles over time. That's why there's not serious rock climbing in Hawaii, because you can't like chisel your way in, because it's gonna, if you use one of those pipe things, or you kind of use I forget what those things are called, the big nails you kind of throw in the rock to kind of, they'll crumble the lava, and so rock climbing is very dangerous in Hawaii because of the lava rock. So the lava rock is always crumbling, and there's always rock slides happening. And with the rains, there's rock slides, and you don't want to have a home that's catching rock slides. There are stories, and you hear them kind of all the time, really. Every time there's a big rain, right, Heidi and Scott? Every time there's a big rain, there's always stories, and road gets closed, rock slide, home gets battered, rock slide. So that's another part of living in that mountain. Not quite. Not quite. And Jessica brings up another point. What about all the people? What about all the people parking in front of your driveway to go hiking? I've heard that's an issue too, especially in Maunawili. Especially in Maunawili. The Maunawili folks have just about had it. Thanks to Instagram and social media, Maunawili's become a real popular spot, but it's, the trailhead is in the middle of a residential area. Not a lot of parking spots, and people are not terribly considerate when they want to get a spot. And if they end up blocking your driveway, it's okay with them, not okay with us. Scott, you're nodding. Anything you want to add to that?
No, yeah, you're exactly right. That and Stairway to Heaven, the other community where people would go and access Stairway to Heaven. The same thing. The community was up in arms.
Up in arms. Even though Stairway to Heaven is illegal, you're not supposed to be able to go there at all. But it's like it's wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You can kind of still go in there.
Yeah, so the last time we went, I think I did that one twice, and they used to have a guard out there at like 3 a.m, so we'd have to start, prior to that, we'd start at 2 a.m. to start on going up Stairway to Heaven, and had headlamps on and lights and whatnot, and that was a pretty eerie feeling. I mean, we would basically get to the top prior to the sun even coming up. Fun times, but I wouldn't do it again.
Man, that's a hairy hike to do, like in the perfect conditions, to do that at 2 in the morning with flashlights on your head. I would imagine that'd be great feedback, everybody. Y'all are fantastic as usual. Best audience in the world. I don't know what's more fun is kind of, us doing it or having you folks comment. I think it's fantastic. All right, let's get to let's wrap this up. I think we got some closing thoughts over here. Let's see if let me do it this way so I could look and see if the slides are right first. Okay. So we got the first one here. We got Scott's. We're going to close up, folks. Q&A time is over. Save it for next week. Let's go into closing thoughts. Scott, you're up first. Go for it.
Yeah, the only difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra.
What does that mean to you, Scott? That's a good one. Tell me why what how does this speak to you?
I mean, for me, I always try to go the extra mile for everything I do, and I don't know, the learning and just the experience that you get out of putting that extra effort in is all worth it.
And on the receiving end, it's when you get that little extra effort, right? When you get the waitress who takes the time to make sure that your water is filled all the time, right? That little extra, the one those little extra things really make a big difference. Thanks, Ray, for your great comments. Great show as always. Have a great weekend. I'm glad you're there. It's kind of funny. You folks are the ones that make it great, and I appreciate that. All right, let's see who's up next. Heidi, give us this and tell us why it's important to you.
Well, I would say Scott is the one who's giving it the little extra because this is my same closing thought
Oh,
from,
okay. Oh, whoops,
from
whoops.
last show. So I'm happy to talk about it again because,
Or something else, or anything else.
but I mean, I guess this goes on a theme of something that's really important to me is just being conscious of where I'm focusing my time and my energy and really valuing that. And I mean, that's one thing that living in Hawaii has really helped me with. Um, and then I guess, I mean, another thought that I had this week is just this idea of what it means to be luxury. And a lot of times we think of luxury of having more things, having bigger things, having the 3-car garage, having this and that. But I mean, sometimes luxury is not all about what we have. It's about what you can live without and just kind of distilling your life to what's truly valuable and important to you. And that's something that I strive to do.
Yeah, well said. Hawaii kind of forces you to do that. I mean, the high cost of living, unless you have, unless you can really afford, the high cost of living forces you to economize one way, shape, or form. And the Hawaii's natural beauty, right, makes you kind of help you realize the important things, what really matters. Thank you, Heidi. All right, and mine, gang, I found another proverb stuff well, first of all, Mark, good to see you all again. Good to see you too, Mark. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for doing what you do. It's really fun. And I'm glad you made it. Got the right time this weekend, so now you know. All right, and my time is, I love, as you all are knowing, I love reading Proverbs. It's like the best book ever. He who walks with wise men becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. And this is to say, there's a term I've heard that says you will be the average of the people that you are with. So take average, average income, average success, average everything. Take the average of the people that you hang out with, and that is what you will turn into. And that's what this proverb is saying. So always take the time to make sure you're with the right company of people. Walks with the wise, become wise. But if you're our companion of fools, you will suffer harm. So great wisdom from Proverbs. You continue to make my fortnight. Thank you, Auntie Joyce. We're so glad. All right, folks, that's it for today. Thank you, Scott and Heidi, for coming by and making a great show. We miss Dylan. We miss you, and we'll be seeing you in 2 weeks. Why don't we go counterclockwise, say goodbye, Scott, and then Heidi, and then we'll say goodbye to everybody else.
Aloha, everybody. And Tom, World Cup draw was today. USA in the same group as England, so we'll see you guys in November.
There you go.
Aloha, everybody. Have a great week.
All right, folks, have a great week. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Aloha.